So this is our new optical scan equipment. The difference that the voter is going to see is this nice large display screen when they insert their ballot. They will see the same paper ballot as they're familiar with the oval beside the candidate's name. The thing that's really nice and user-friendly about this equipment is, for example, should a voter accidentally overvote their ballot, in this particular case, and this is just a demo ballot, but they voted for 2 and they should have only voted for 1. So when they read their ballot through, and it's going to tell you that it's scanning your ballot, it will tell the voter that they have overvoted, in what race they've overvoted. It'll give them the ability to correct their ballot, or should they wish to just override that mistake and let that go through and let the other votes be cast. If they wish to have it back, they just push it. They will get their ballot back. They would then spoil that ballot. The law allows you to receive 3 at the polls on election day. They can correct it and do it again. If the ballot is if their votes are correct, it's going to scan your ballot. It's going to tell you that it's been cast and thank you for voting. You'll know that your ballot has been cast. Okay. The new equipment is going to allow us to reduce the number of poll workers dramatically. We used to have about 15 per polling location, and we will have more in the 11 poll worker range.
Okay. And as far as year-round and off years especially, I think a lot of voters wonder what happens here. They think, well, after Election Day, you guys must just have all this time off, but that's not the case.
Best job ever. You work one day a year, right? So we do a lot. Obviously, we registered voters year-round. We do a lot of voter outreach. We try and be out in the community every day. In addition to the elections that are mandated by state law, we do a lot of elections that voters may not realize. We do homeowners elections. We have done board elections for either churches, or we do them for Canadian Space Center or credit union. We do homecoming elections, student government elections to engage our young people in the voting process. We verify petitions, either for candidates or issues on the ballot. In anticipation for 2014, we have verified over 141,000 petitions for this campaign season. We do list maintenance year-round. We have a very mobile society, obviously. Voters move, and that prompts things or changes their political party affiliation. We also have the processes that we go through to help our candidates, either through the announcing process, qualifying candidates. We've qualified 57 candidates, have qualified through my office for the 2014 election. We have, for anybody in Brevard County who serves on a board or is appointed to a board or a government committee, they are required to fill out financial disclosures every year. We do 1,000 of those every year. That goes out and we report those to the state. So there's a lot of things that happen year-round. In addition to that, when we are preparing for an election, it's about 6 months of logistical preparation, ordering supplies, poll worker training. All Brevard County poll workers per state law go through poll worker training before every election. So in 2012, in the last presidential, we had 3 elections. All 2,000 poll workers went through poll worker training all 3 times. We will do that. We have already started that for 2014. Obviously, it takes a lot of meetings to facilitate for that number of people. We do our preventative maintenance on our machines, and we do public logic and accuracy testing, which will be going up. Our military and overseas ballots go out 45 days before an election. So it's ordering those ballots and getting all of the preparation for that, and everyone that wants to receive those ballots. And then our stateside will go out, stateside absentees go out 28 days before the election. So we're in election mode for a long time, as well as election day doesn't end for us on election day. There are functions of the elections of voter history, post-election audits, 48-hour provisional count, 10-day military count. So there's a lot of functions that go on after the election. We're in full election mode with ballots still out and unofficial results through the entire certification process, from basically the first day that the absentees for military and overseas go out 45 days till the post-election audit and the certification, which can be anywhere from 10 days to 14 days after an election. 57 candidates qualified through the election, just through my office for this election. So they are responsible for their campaign treasurer's reports, which they turn in through the office, as well as if you have opposition, you are looking for those absentees. A lot of our candidates are chasing absentees. We expect to mail out over 90,000 for this election. So we know that's changed the way our candidates campaign, and it's changed the dynamic of the office.
Right. And ideally, these campaigns get that information, and therefore they know who not to bug with direct mail pieces, things like that.
Well, I think that, the way our candidates are trying to plan their campaigns is they want their mail piece to hit the same day that that voter is receiving their absentee ballot. So that as we, from our first day mass mail, which we anticipate to be 85,000, and then we will go to dailies after that, they are chasing them every day. And with 50% of the county voting before election day, you can't sit back anymore like you used to and just campaign really hard that weekend before.
Right. And just for the voters who may not realize, these campaigns are getting the indication that a voter voted, but they don't get the information as far as who the voter voted for.
Correct.
Right.
Voting is totally anonymous. There is no identifier on a ballot that ties it to a voter. We know who voted, and that becomes part of your voter history, and that is public record. And I am also required by law to submit that our voter history information to the Secretary of State's office in Tallahassee post-election. But voting is totally anonymous. We have privacy for a reason, so there is no way to know whose ballot is whose.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Could you tell us about provisional ballots and how they're incorporated into election day counting?
Okay, so provisional ballots are the same actual paper ballot that another voter would cast. The only thing with the provisional ballot is, what would prompt that is if you either show up at the polls without your ID, we have no way to verify who you are. You would go through the provisional ballot process, and your ballot would be put in a provisional ballot envelope. Those come back to the office on election night. By law, we have 48 hours to research those, and really it's just a verified ballot. I mean, it's the same exact ballot that go through the optical scan units on election day at the polls. It just is going to go through an extra verification process that is then presented to the canvassing board, which by law is myself, a sitting county commissioner, and a county judge. It is done at a public meeting, and those provisionals are brought through, and then it is determined by the canvassing board whether the ballot inside is accepted or rejected, based on the information researched during that 48-hour process. The voter also has the ability within that 48-hour time frame, again by law, to bring ID in and show that it was them at the polls. But if your signature on file matches, if you are a registered voter, if you voted in the correct precinct, and we can verify the signature on the outside envelope to your signature on file, you don't need to come in within that 48 hours. We can verify that ballot and let it go through.
So every registered voter truly has an opportunity to vote, even if they don't have any form of ID, thanks to the provisional ballot.
And anybody, for any reason, can vote a provisional ballot. If we don't ever turn anybody away, it's very important that you may show up at the wrong precinct, and we may tell you that it's wrong precinct. We will tell you where you need to go to the proper precinct to vote, which is by law. You have to vote in the precinct in which you legally reside. But I was at a poll on election day one year, and a very elderly gentleman came in, and he goes, okay, I know I'm at the wrong precinct, but I was driving by and I'm really tired and I want to go home and take a nap and I just want to vote. And he voted a provisional ballot. So the provisional ballot gives the opportunity for anyone to vote. It may be that we cannot determine if you are a registered voter or you're maybe someone who have lost your right to vote and not sure if you've had your rights restored or whatever it is. So the provisional ballot really is just a verification ballot.
As for the voters showing up on election day, what should they bring with them to verify that they are a registered voter?
So there's 9 forms of ID that is allowed by state law to present at the polls on election day. The one that most people have is the driver's license, because by law it has to be a picture and signature. So photo and signature ID is the combination that you need. A driver's license has both of those, or it can be a combination of 2. A passport, for example, would be used student ID, retirement home ID, public assistance ID would be eligible. So it can be a combination of those. And if not, if for any reason you drove to a polling location and have no ID on you, which you should never do, but if you have, you would be allowed to vote a provisional ballot.
One common misconception that you addressed earlier was regarding absentee ballots and the idea that is floating out there that absentee ballots aren't counted unless it's either a close election or only in unique situations. That is not the case, correct?
Yeah, we've worked really hard to bust that myth. Absentees not only are counted, they are the first ballots opened and canvassed. The law allows us to start the canvassing of absentee ballots 15 days before the election. The very first numbers you will see released on election night. Go to thevotebrevard.com, 7 p.m. As soon as we can get them posted, you are going to see early voting numbers and absentee numbers, very first ones released. So not only are they counted, they're the first ones counted. And 1/3 of Brevard County voted by mail in the 2012 election, and I am expecting to see that percentage to be even higher for this election. We're thinking that it will be over 90,000 ballots have been requested for the 2014 primary, so I'm expecting a really high turnout by mail.
Well, I've noticed many new improvements out here, but the thing I think is most impressive is the auto mark machine, which will be very helpful for people with handicaps of various types. It eliminates having to do it by hand, and it gives you many different options for inputting information. Second thing, I'd say behind this door here, the counting machines they have are absolutely out of this world.
I'm about to demonstrate the Brevard County Supervisor of Elections brand new high-speed ballot counting machine. It can count ballots at up to 300 a minute and replaces the old put them in a machine one at a time the way you used to have to do it.
So now you have your total there?
We've counted 91 ballots, missed one for some reason. We can look and see. It just says image unreadable. Sometimes when it's going this fast, plus these have been through a few times, it just doesn't catch it. If it doesn't sure what it's got there, it throws it out, puts it in the top bin, you still have to deal with it. If it was overvoted, it would be in the top bin. So we could sort it out and get it taken care of. In this case, I'll just put it back through again, and it should read it the second time.
Next